Well, let's see. I'm looking around here and I see that quite a few of you are wearing eyeglasses today. And I imagine that others of you are wearing contact lenses. So it's probably safe to say that most of us here depend on something, either in our eye or in front of our eyes, to see straight in the morning. According to the Vision Council of America, about 75%, about 3 out of 4 adults, use some sort of vision correction. Of course, some of us are in bigger trouble without our glasses than others. I can't even read a prayer card that's more than a foot away from me, well, 3 feet away from me without my glasses. And, of course, when I'm wearing my glasses, I can't read it unless it's a certain distance away, but that's another story. Without my glasses, just about everything and everybody is a blurry patch of colors, pretty to look at, but completely unrecognizable. Can any of you relate to that problem? Yeah, 1 or 2 of you? Last week I had one of those bad moments in the morning when I set down my glasses and then I couldn't find them. So, plan A, and they weren't on my head, by the way. Plan A would have been to call out, "Jana, Carolyn, I need help." But they had both taken off for the day already. So plan B was to roam around the house and to search out every flat surface that I could find, feeling around. But there was no joy there either. And guess what? There was no plan C. So I just continued to fumble around with my blurry vision until eventually I found them first with my fingers before I stepped on them or sat on them. I did not sit on them. I did not step on them. I found them. Don't worry, here they are. It was not a happy time of my life. Now, you may never have lost your eyeglasses, although I bet you have. But you may have had the experience of searching for God in a similar way, fumbling around, disoriented and increasingly anxious, wondering where God is and not able to deal with anything beyond a foot in front of your face. And that's because all of us become nearsighted. And that's because of our eye problem. I need this, I want this, I like this, I don't like that. We're so conditioned to see everything in terms of ourselves that we wind up unable to see God at work around us, outside of ourselves, in our communities. But Jesus didn't have an eye problem. So we're going to look at his relationship to his Father to see if we can learn anything. And you can follow along in the blue pew Bibles on 1654 if you like. Or if you have your own Bible, we're in the Gospel of John, chapter 5, verses 16 through 21. So because Jesus was doing these things on the Sabbath, he was healing on the Sabbath, quite scandalous, the Jews persecuted him. Jesus said to them, "My Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working." For this reason, the Jews tried all the harder to kill him. Not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father, making himself equal with God. Jesus gave them this answer, "I tell you the truth, the Son can do nothing by himself. He can only do what he sees his Father doing, because whatever the Father does, the Son also does. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all he does. Yes, to your amazement, he will show him even greater things than these. For just as the Father raises the dead and gives them life, even so the Son gives life to whom he is pleased to give it." This is the word of God for us today, the people of God. Thanks be to God. Well, whether we know it or not, all of us have a deep need and a longing to be in God's presence But the truth is that most of us struggle, at least from time to time, with finding an experience of God, a personal one. We try listening to KTIS or maybe tuning in to Robert Schuller. We might even try reading from the Bible or praying the Lord's Prayer or reading the 23rd Psalm. We might even be so desperate that we try going to church. It's all like staring at a brick wall. Our problems don't go away. We get increasingly anxious and depressed, and we're no closer to experiencing God than when we started. Can any of you relate to that problem? I contend that the problem most of us face in finding God is that we're too self-absorbed. You've heard me say that before. Too often we're preoccupied with trying to fathom God's will for our lives instead of being content with the more relevant and simple question, what is God's will? Henry Blackaby, the author of Experiencing God, a popular Bible study series, points out that the universe of God's will is a whole lot larger than the small neighborhood of problems that we carry around and fret about. Yes, God knows and cares for each of us individually, even before we're born. But God's plan and God's work always involve the larger community of his people and are always directed at the redemption and the restoration of his creation. So seeking an experience of God by starting from our own perspective is like trying to swim across the ocean by starting from the center of a whirlpool. It's a whole lot of unnecessary work, and it's pretty unlikely to succeed. But Jesus takes a radically different perspective in his approach to experiencing God. My Father is always working, Jesus tells us in the Gospel of John. And where is he working? Well, the Bible is the story of God's work among his people. So if we want to see God at work, we need to start there, in relationship with other people. Not only is God always at work among his people, but he doesn't play Where's Waldo with us, trying to blend into the crowd. Instead, God makes a point of revealing himself to us over and over again. That's what the rainbow was for Noah. That's what the burning bush was for Moses. That's what the whole Jesus thing was and still is about.